This is Mike, and welcome to episode number 206 of the EcomCrew podcast. You can go to ecomcrew.com/206 to get to the show notes for this episode. Today, my trusty partner in crime, Dave Bryant, is back with me for another episode here. We're going to be going over some tools for Amazon. We have 25 tools that we rounded up. It's a blog post you can find at ecomcrew.com/tools and comment there, or on ecomcrew.com/206 if you want to comment on the podcast show notes. And we're just going through category by category, talking about the different apps, whether or not Dave and I have used them before, the things that we've heard about them, how they integrate into our business and things like that. There's actually a pretty good list of stuff here. It's more than I thought before going into it. But there's definitely tons of tools out there, and you can get sucked into too many of these things if you aren't careful. So go through our list here with us and let us know what you think, again, by going to ecomcrew.com/206. All right, let's hop into this episode with Dave and I talking about Amazon tools.
Welcome to the EcomCrew podcast, hosted by Mike Jackness and Dave Bryant, who together run e-commerce businesses that generate 8 figures annually. Mike and Dave take pride in running a podcast that isn't just fluff, talking about specific products, problems, and real-world solutions. In the words of one of our favorite reviews, this podcast is like a playbook for e-commerce. You can take any episode and spend the next month trying to implement it. So without further ado, here's the EcomCrew.
Hey, Dave, how's it going, man?
Going swell. How about you?
Pretty good. We're going through our proverbial can't get the microphone or headphones thing to work again today.
Yeah, but I was waiting around for you for half an hour, so it's okay if I have some IT issues.
I feel bad because you just did a solo podcast and left me off the hook for one of the episodes. So now it's like double guilt.
I know, but you're going to do up a nice big blog article, so we're all good.
Uh-oh. It's going to be like one sentence. Here's my blog article.
Hey, some words on paper. That's all that matters.
Yeah. But speaking of blog articles, we're actually doing a podcast today that's kind of in conjunction with a blog article. And actually, Abby and Muffins back in the Philippines office helped put this together. So we want to thank them for their efforts. And we're going to try to do a lot more of these podcasts that coincide with a blog article, just to kind of get the content just more in line with what we're doing. So if you go to ecomcrew.com/tools, you can get to the article for this, which is going to be about 25 Amazon tools you may or may not know about. So we've broken this up into sections, and we have 25 tools to talk about. I guess we can just kind of go back and forth and one by one here. So the first category is product and keyword research. And the first one we have here is Amazon Scout. And we can kind of, I think, both talk about whether we use them or not. For me, I use the free version of this. I like their little plugin that goes in Google Chrome that quickly will tell you the profitability of your listing. But they have a premium version that does more. So are you using this one, Dave?
Yeah, I think I enlightened you to the free plugin that they have. They seem to have changed it around a little bit, where it doesn't seem to be as effective, the free version, as it used to be. But it's still good. Like I use it simply to see what the FBA fees are for an item. So it'll pull all the dimensions from an item, and it'll tell you what the estimated FBA fees are for that. Because sometimes you don't know looking at an item. All you can do is ballpark what the FBA fees are. So it's nice to see how much that item is actually going to cost you with FBA. And it also gives you a sales estimate number. I'm not sure how reliable that number is, but I think it's good enough. And that's normally what I'm looking for. I just want a ballpark of how many items is selling. Is it selling one item a day, or is it selling 100 items a day?
Yeah, I think this is probably one of the only plugins I use like every day. pretty darn close to it. So it's pretty good. So definitely check out amzscout.com to get that free version. And they also have a premium version, as we mentioned. The next one on here, we had to have on the list, but I think everybody probably uses, which is Jungle Scout. I definitely use this all the time as well, especially the Chrome extension. I assume you do as well, Dave.
Yep, I stopped using the paid version a while back, just because AMZ Scout normally is good enough for me, and my product development stage right now is not that intensive, so I don't really get as much value from it as compared to when I'm developing 20 products at a time. So I hate to kind of not help Greg Mercer out here, because I think he is really strapped for cash, and Jungle Scouts.
Nice.
But when I'm going through a big product development stage, I'll normally fork over the $40 a month or whatever it is for Jungle Scout. But during times like this, no.
Yeah, makes sense. All right, and the next one on the list here is Unicorn Smasher. This is one I have used in the past, tested out. but I personally don't use it anymore. It's fine software. It just gets to the point where you have too many tools doing the same thing. So I haven't been using this on an ongoing basis as of recently.
Yeah, and I'm the same way. A lot of these kind of are repeats of one another in terms of keyword research tools and Amazon volume research tools. So if you have one, you kind of have them all. So I'm the same way. I've tried it in the past. Currently, don't use it though.
Okay, perfect. All right, so moving on to the next category, we have landing page generators. And I think this is an important thing to having your Amazon toolkit arsenal, because if you follow anything that we've been doing here, one of the things that we've been working really hard is sending off Amazon traffic to Amazon, and most of that happens via a landing page of some marketing gimmick, whether it's a discount code or a giveaway or whatever it might be. We're using landing pages to pull this off. The first one on our list is Zipify Pages by my friend Ezra Firestone. You probably also know, if you've been listening to the podcast for any length of time, that I'm a fanboy of this software. We've put together hundreds, if not over 1,000 landing pages at this point for all kinds of stuff on our business. And our general rule of thumb is we use Zipify Pages if our brand has a Shopify store already. So if it's one of our brand new brands and we're just getting started, we typically don't have that yet, but pretty quickly in the process, we'll launch a Shopify store, and then we stick with Zipify. So everything is in one platform. It's pretty cohesive to have a Zipify landing page, not only for off Amazon stuff, but also for your Shopify stuff or any type of lead magnet or whatever you're doing. It's completely customizable, and then you can integrate Shopify products directly into the landing page. So enough about that, but we obviously use it, and you can find that at Zipify. And I'm curious, Dave, have you tried Zipify yet? I don't know if you have.
I've used Zipify. I'm trying to transition more. Now, Zipify is great because it integrates well with Shopify. The ClickFunnels does not really integrate all that well. So Zipify is great for that. Trying to transition now, for better or worse, to more Amazon-specific landing page creators, which seem to be all the rage now with the cool kids. So that's where I'm trying to transition, actually, just because some of these Amazon-specific landing page generators, which we'll talk about here in a sec, they allow you to do some more funky things like easily integrating coupons and all that fun stuff.
Yeah, and also just so you know, Zipify Pages does that as well. I think, if I remember correctly, they have 2 different levels, and their more expensive plan has that built in as well.
Really?
Yeah.
That's
something I think that they added, a few months after launching.
I had no idea. There we go.
But if you're looking for something that's simple and just does exactly what Dave was talking about, Zon Pages does this as well. zonpages.com. I have not used this one, but I think that you might have.
Yes, I played around with it. Haven't kind of pulled the trigger and committed to a long-term relationship with them yet, but we're still in the wooing stage and looking to some point here in the future, not just for Zon Pages, but also I believe Zon Pages also has a couple other nice little features that go with it. So
yeah, and we've used some of those things, so definitely worth checking out. It's got like an Amazon toolkit besides just the landing page stuff.
Yeah, and I think that's a big advantage, I guess, with Zon Pages is that they have a few different things. Email append service, whether you want to do that or you don't want to do that, it's there. Email management, all those types of good things.
Yep. Okay, the next one here is Landing Cube, very much like Zon Pages as far as a page builder, but I think it has a little bit more flexibility and customization options. I have not used it, but I'm almost 100% sure you have, right?
No, I haven't. But
Dave,
our good
100%
buddy,
not sure.
our good buddy Dave Huss, who's a premium member and also did our Facebook webinar a couple months back. It's a good friend of his in Vietnam running this, so anything that he recommends, I think we can concretely recommend as well. And from all accounts, we do have a couple premium members using it, and it does seem to be a great piece of software.
Okay, that's why I thought that you had used it, because I guess I had seen it in the premium community and saw you commenting about it.
You're getting your Daves mixed up here, Mike.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's like so many Daves in my life. It's kind of crazy. It's Mike used to be the most common name, but now it's like just everyone's called Dave. It's kind of crazy.
I know. Super Dave.
Super Dave. All right, the last one in this category is ClickFunnels. This is another software that I've been a fanboy of in some ways, and it's one of these things like I love to hate ClickFunnels or hate whatever the heck that saying is. I mean, it does a great job for certain things. I find that if you're earlier in the process and you don't have a Shopify store yet, it's really good because it has full checkout functionality built into it. So you can sell something directly through here, which is something that we're a pretty big fan of when we're testing new ideas and products. We'll do that at that time through ClickFunnels. But once you have a Shopify store, I'm definitely don't use ClickFunnels much. And at this point, we're using ClickFunnels almost zero in our business because all of our brands have a Shopify store at this point. They've all kind of progressed to that stage. So, and we actually originally ran EcomCrew off of ClickFunnels at one point. And I think that the reality is that ClickFunnels has some limitations. It's great to get started. It's quick and dirty. But once you start advancing past any point, you'll probably get frustrated with it.
Yeah, I mean, we had to switch off ClickFunnels when we had a riot of EcomCrew premium members outside our doors demanding that we switch teaching platforms. So that's what we had to do. ClickFunnels kind of falls into the trap I think that Microsoft falls into, where they're trying to do a lot of different things. And what's happened is that they do a lot of things kind of okay, but they don't really do anything all that great. And same thing with ClickFunnels. Decent landing page creator, decent shopping cart, decent email management, but nothing really awesome.
Yep. All right. So moving on to the next category, we have pricing and repricing. And depending on the type of products you're selling, if you're selling against competitors, right, repricing is something that we have done in the past. We haven't really been doing it as of late. I'm not sure. Are you doing repricing stuff, Dave? I wouldn't imagine that you are.
No, I've played with Splitly and doing A/B testing for basically trying to optimize profit. Yep. But in terms of repricing, no. I think repricing, this is a bigger thing if you're kind of like a retail arbitrage guy.
Yep.
Selling somebody else's products. If you're doing private labeling, you're going to own the buy box 99.9% of the time, so you don't really need to play these repricing games. But if you are not doing private labeling, you're selling somebody else's product, then yeah, this is more important.
Yep. All right, so we should still go through these tools because there are probably a lot of people that listen to podcasts that do this and might not even be aware of it. So basically what repricing will do is if you have a competitor who's priced lower than you and they win the buy box because of that, you can have this software automatically priced below them. Now, the danger is that if both of you have repricing turned on, what ends up happening is there's a race to the bottom pretty quickly. And Amazon loves this because it lowers the price for the customer. So they advocate and allow this to happen. It's frustrating. I've been in this situation myself personally. That's why I know what can happen. But luckily, you can set a floor threshold with these repricers. But pretty typically, that's where you end up at. And then it just becomes who's really willing to sell it for the lowest price. But at any rate, let's kind of go through some of these. The first one we have on the list is Seller Snap, and this is Seller Snap.io. And I know you haven't used this one, Dave, so I'll go on to the next one. I haven't used this either.
But I'm looking at the summary here of Seller Snap, and I want to use it. A game theory repricer.
It's good marketing for sure. It's expensive, by the way. The price here, that $500 a month. Yeah,
it's crazy.
The next one I have used, it's a Be Cool, which is the letter B, the letter Q, OOL, and it's becool.com. I've used them for repricing back in the early days of what we were, when we were selling on Amazon, and they also have other tools. They have, if I remember correctly, they have like email service, feedback or post purchase feedback request or whatever you want to call those emails. They do that and some other things as well. And it's relatively cost effective. I think that we have here $25 to $100 a month. So if you're looking for repricing along with some other functionality, Be Cool might be something for you to look at.
Okay.
The next one here is like I would say more of an enterprise level version of this, which is FeedVisor. In fact, we have on the website here on this article, pricing is available upon request, which usually means if you have to ask, you can't afford it. I've heard some pretty big numbers thrown around with these guys. But if you're, at the point where you have thousands of SKUs and you're doing millions of dollars in business and you're spending tons of time dealing with this stuff, FeedVisor will help not only reprice things, but also deal with listing on tons of other channels like eBay or Walmart or, Rakuten or all these different things that are out there. So it's a pretty all-encompassing software, but it is definitely very expensive. I had actually inquired to them one time, and it was thousands, if not $10,000 a month. It was something astronomical. I forgot exactly what the price was. It was years ago, but I'm sure the price has not gone down since then.
Yeah, and they're similar to, I guess, a channel advisor in the fact that they'll manage all your different feeds. So if you're a multi-channel seller, then you want to have some kind of multi-channel listing management software. Channel advisor, I think they charge a revenue share about 2 to 3%, and it seems like feed advisor is just a astronomical fixed monthly charge.
Yep. Okay, next one on the list, Repricer Express, just www.repricerexpress.com. I believe that I used these guys back in the early days. I remember Be Cool for sure. I think I used Repricer Express for a minute there before we stopped doing selling against other people. I realized that wasn't for me. That wasn't what I wanted to be doing for a business. But again, I know lots of other people that are very successful doing this. I'm not condemning that business model. I just like cutting out my own turf and not having competitors. But Repricer Express is definitely software that I've heard good things about, and I do believe that I used them and was happy with them years ago, but I can't be 100% for sure, actually.
Yeah, and Repricer Express, I think their big niche that they carved out a while back was eBay repricing. And so back in the day when people actually sold on eBay, this was actually a thing. So Repricer Express still has that as a carryover. They have Amazon integration now, but eBay is kind of where I guess they got their original footing.
Yep. Okay, these next two I have definitely not used. Keepa, Keepa, it's keepa.com. Same thing, it's a repricer. There's tons of these out there, so we try to put as many of these we could in this roundup, but I don't know a lot about this company or this particular software.
Nope, and neither do I.
But if you're in the repricing and one you can check out. The next one on the list here is camelcamel.com. I have heard of these guys, never used them. I've heard decent things about them. And it's free, so I'm not really sure if it's one of these things you get what you pay for, but if you have just a couple SKUs that you're trying to do this with, it might be something to download and keep an eye on.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the deal with Camel is. I know I have at least a friend or two using them. I'm not sure why. Again, maybe it's just a free thing, and maybe I have some friends who are like me and who are cheap, and that's simply why they use them. But yeah, no first-hand experience with them.
Nope. Okay, the next category we have here is review monitoring. So this would be a way for if you got like a negative review that you would get notified right away, that it would give you opportunity to contact the customer and try to fix that, because obviously if you aren't paying attention to all of your listings, you'll get reviews and not even realize it, and the quicker you can nip it in the bud, the better. So for us, for review monitoring, we are using Celix for this because it's just integrated in some of the other things that we're doing, but we'll talk about some of the others that are here as well. The first one on our list here is Feedback Genius. They were kind of the originals on the scene. They do other things as well, which we'll talk about further down here, but they will monitor your reviews and give you an alert if you get, let's say, a 3-star review or below.
Yep, and that's who we use actually, just because it's fairly cheap. The problem with Celix is I think you're grandfathered into one of the cheaper plans. Right now, if you're a new customer to Celix, I think you're looking at hundreds of dollars a month. And if you just need something like feedback monitoring, then Feedback Genius is going to be cheaper than Celix. Yes,
I agree. Celix price has gone up significantly. Would be like probably the best way to put it. Okay, the next one on the list here is Feedback Express. Same type of idea as Feedback Genius. They will monitor your listings and let you know if something bad happens.
Yep. Just kind of an off note too. What are you doing? What's your kind of feedback review monitoring process look like?
So we're using Celix, so it has the ability to email you, but I think we have that turned off because we just, as a part of our daily routine, go in and look at it.
Well, it also makes you a really bad day when you get an email come in that you got a 2-star review. So
yeah,
it's best to look at those on at your discretion.
I mean, it's so funny that you kind of brought this topic up because I do my best not to look at the reviews because I get personally just like really spun up about it. I mean, like it's bad. Like you say, like it's a bad day when you get the negative. I mean, like I really take it personally, and like at least half of the reviews are just complete BS. I mean, it's just like the person's a complete imbecile. They didn't read the instructions properly. We had someone the other day that that was like, oh, I was comparing two different items and I ordered the wrong one by mistake. I shouldn't have ordered this. I was trying to get the other one. This was, and 1 star. I was like, literally like the review. I was just like, oh my God, like people are just like, So I do my best not to read it because again, I get personal, take it personally. I want to lash out and do all the wrong things, in response to it, even though like I know what the right procedure is. And luckily we have an amazing team in the Philippines and they just handle it. Like they're in there every day. Solix allows you to just filter by 1, 2, 3-star reviews and, you can put notes and work on them. So we basically, first thing we always try to do is reach out to the customer if we can. So we try to match up their name, to the product that they bought and search through our Amazon account or Skubana and do everything we can from an inquisitive, investigative point of view, to figure out who the heck they are. And that, 30% of the time, maybe 40% of the time we can do that. And then we reach out to them via email and try to rectify the situation. We don't ever talk to them necessarily about the review because you're not supposed to mention reviews, or definitely never ask them to update their review. But we have a pretty good success rate getting them changed because we fix the problem. And usually once we fix the problem, and once you have a personal interaction with somebody, they're pretty apt to go make a change. So, and if we can't get it resolved, we can't reach the customer, after a few days, we leave a comment on the review and just basically say, sorry, like you could have returned this, or we could have helped you if you contacted us, or whatever our standard language is that's written in as nice a way as possible. And that's kind of our procedure.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. Amazon has kind of taken away the power of effective review monitoring and reaching out to a customer proactively and trying to make them happy, because now, like you mentioned, you can't do anything about asking them to change a review or even update it or anything involving the word review. So it almost discourages you now from being proactive and trying to make a customer happy. So I know Amazon's all touchy about reviews nowadays, but that's one where, I don't know, it's a little bit counterproductive.
I mean, it's probably in the top 3 of like the most frustrating things for me is selling on Amazon, because for me, like I can okay, look, I have a dog in the fight. Like I want positive reviews because I know it's good for our business. So it's not just about the personal level part, but like, honestly, like, I mean, my personality is like, I want people to be happy. Like I want to, someone's giving me money. We want to provide a good service to them. And if there's anything we can do to fix it, like I want to fix it. And most of the things that people leave negative reviews about are things that we could easily fix. I mean, it'll be like, my package got damaged in shipping, and 1-star review. Cause like we have, especially for our color products, a lot of the packaging is stuff that we intend people to keep and use as a storage box and stuff. And people get pissed when the thing gets damaged in shipping. That's something we could easily do, is send them another box. Or, we'll have a situation sometimes where people will buy one of our products and they're unscrupulous. They take part of the product out and then return it, and not returning the whole thing. Amazon will accept it and put it back on the shelf. And then someone else buys it and leaves us a 1-star review because their product wasn't complete. Again, that's something that first of all, we wish Amazon would fix on their own and not take back, a half item or not a full return or whatever. But that's not going to get fixed. But we can certainly, at our expense, make the customer happy. But like Amazon will not remove the review, and they will not help the customer. And like in these situations, we've had, product didn't arrive, product arrived late, these types of things. These are not things that are in our control that we get negative reviews for, that I wish I could easily contact the customer and make it right, even though it wasn't our fault. Like we're willing to go even that extra mile, but we can't. And so that, without getting off on too much of a tangent here, it's unfortunate. I do wish they would allow us to contact customers there.
I opened up a can of worms.
You did.
You do know, Mike, though, you can reach out to some of those Chinese resellers and actually buy email addresses of your customers. $5 an email.
Yeah.
$2 if you buy 100 at a time.
Ooh, wow. I don't see what could possibly go wrong. Okay, so the next category in the I don't see what could possibly go wrong category is email autoresponders. And these are very similar companies as to monitoring. So, Feedback Genius, for instance, does this. JumpSend is one I think that didn't make our list, but there's other ones out there that Be Cool I think as well. But there's several softwares out there that do this. Seller Labs is the one that I've used since day one. It does a good job. Unfortunately, a lot of these emails aren't getting through anymore. Amazon's allowed customers to opt out of them, so a large portion of these emails aren't going through. And Amazon has been emailing people, warning them if they continue to do this, that their account could be closed. And we can't figure out exactly what the criteria is. So we know lots of people are still doing this, but certainly the rules are, as of recording this podcast, and this is a moving target, but you definitely can't send more than one email. You definitely cannot have any condition in the email about, if you're happy, leave a review. If you aren't, contact us to get it rectified. And I just worry that because this is fluid and continues to change, like for me, we've just stopped doing it. Unfortunately, our review rate has gone way the heck down. We used to get tons of reviews when we sent out emails, but unfortunately, we just get fewer reviews, which does have bad consequences to our business, but not as bad as if they closed our account. So that's kind of where we've landed.
Yeah, you're kind of stuck in that trap where you have a significant, obviously, investment in your company right now. We have a newer account, so I'm able to take more risks than maybe you are. So the email autoresponder, I haven't really touched the thing in 2 years since we turned it on, and I'm not that worried. I think Amazon, for the most part, you get at least one strike before you're out. So I'm not that paranoid about it. But if I was in your case where you have a bunch of employees and hundreds of thousands of dollars of inventory, then yeah, I'd be a little bit more sensitive of it. But yeah, it's one area where I probably push the envelope a little bit more than you do.
Yeah. And this is actually a podcast we'll do in the future, but we are looking to break up our single Amazon account situation that we have, what you just talked about, and do it by brand, just to have some diversity and not have to have the stress of everything's in one account. And maybe we'll feel differently about it when we get to that point.
Yeah, I could. We used to run 2 accounts, so I can give you some pros and cons about that too, either on the podcast or privately.
Yeah, no, I think that would be a great episode because it's something that I've struggled with, and you could give some insight as well. That's something we can do hopefully at the beginning of the year because it's something we're going through right now.
We just filled out our podcast calendar.
Perfect.
One more topic on it.
Excellent. Okay, the next category here that we have is listing management, and the first one on this group is I think something that already came up in this conversation, or at least in the pre-recording of the podcast, which is SentryKit, SentryKit.com. This is one that we do use. What SentryKit does is allows you to monitor your listings, not only for reviews. So like we could have had this up in that category as well. So if you want to monitor your negative reviews, it can do that. But again, we use Selix. This is one of these unfortunate things where you have like all these different SaaS softwares that you're paying for, and some of them do some of the same things. So SentryKit and Selix do that component the same. But what SentryKit does that has saved us a ton of time is it will alert you if your images, your title, your description, your price, basically anything changes on your listing. And as a private label seller, we shouldn't have to worry about this. But all the time, I don't know what the hell it is, but all the time, like stuff's constantly changing, especially for the 2 brands that we sell exclusively for. This is a constant hassle. We used to have a full-time person on staff doing nothing but monitoring our listings that we have now gotten down to 15 to 30 minutes a day. So it's saved us literally 7 hours a day or something crazy. By it just alerts us. So like as soon as something changes, and it's almost instant, we get an email, and then we have someone on our Philippines team open a case with Amazon and or call Amazon to get it fixed. So I've been pretty happy with SentryKit.
Yeah, and I think this is probably one of the newer product categories, at least for 2018. And unfortunately, it's a necessity that shouldn't be there. But like Mike mentioned, listings are being changed. Either simply Amazon's changing them and they're adding retail contributions, or this is the real sick one that's going on right now, is that competitors are changing your products, screwing around with the images, the listing, title, bullets, all those things, and basically sabotaging your listing. And there's a good example that went around, I think, about 2 weeks ago. And basically all the exercise bands, somebody, presumably a Chinese hijacker, had gone in and changed all the images for every product pretty much on the first page of the exercise bands category and changed them all to a picture of like a broken PlayStation. And so all those listings were absolutely sabotaged. It took all those sellers days to get it rectified. And it shouldn't even be a problem that exists there in the first place. And so this is necessitating the need now to monitor your listings, because those people, they probably figured out pretty quick that something went wrong, but If it's a more subtle change to one of your products, you want to know right away. That's where something like SentryKit is really effective. The one that we're using is called Seller Rise, and the great thing about it is because I'm cheap, Seller Rise right now is free for the next 6 months. And me and Mike were joking that they haven't revealed what the pricing will be in 6 months, so I don't know if it's going to be $4,000 a month after that, or maybe something more reasonable like $20 a month. But right now it's free, and it basically does what SentryKit does. It'll monitor your listings and let you know anytime anything's updated.
Yep. And I would switch, but I feel like by the time we take the effort of switching, they'll end up probably charging about the same as SentryKit, so we just kind of probably leave it alone. But what is the URL for the one you just mentioned?
It's sellerrise.com, but only one R, so SELLERISE.com.
Perfect. Okay, cool. Thank you. All right. The next one on the list here is Splitly. This is one that we've talked about a lot on the podcast. You guys all know that we use this. It's one of my favorite Amazon tools, splitly.com. Another tool by my buddy Greg Mercer. He has a lot of Amazon tools in his arsenal. This one's amazing because it does a couple different things. It does A/B testing for your titles, your images, your description, your bullet points, whatever it is that you want to A/B test, and it allows you, in a very definitive way, using black and white data to say, okay, this title gets me more click-throughs, these images get me a better conversion rate, whatever it might be. And the reality is that if you can improve your conversion rate by even, let's just say 1%, the long-term effect of that can be dramatic because it's the whole Amazon flywheel effect thing. So you might not notice a bunch of additional sales the moment that you get done with the test, but 2 to 3 months later, as the flywheel continues to spin and you slowly get higher rankings, which slowly gets you more sales, which slowly gets you higher rankings, and on, it can have a pretty profound effect. So something that we are trying to do even more of. We haven't done enough of this stuff, but we are constantly doing Splitly tests on all sorts of stuff. And it also has something called Profit Peak, which I'm still trying to figure out exactly how their whole secret sauce with this works. I wish it was a little bit more transparent. But we run Profit Peak on a lot of items, trying to figure out the ideal pricing. And again, taking the emotion out of it, because a lot of times you'll be like, oh, we can't sell it that cheap, or we can't sell it that high, or whatever. And it's just it's a total gut feel that is probably wrong. But by putting Profit Peak on, the end result for the most part has been that we've ended up selling things way higher. Especially right now as we're recording this during the holiday season, a couple of the items we have running Profit Peak are like our best selling items that normally throughout the year we're selling, let's say, for $29.99, and we have Profit Peak turn on for now $29.99 to $39.99, and we're up to like 36 something or whatever now. So we've almost raised the price 20%, or has raised the price 20%, which is just tons of money to the bottom line. So yeah, highly recommend Profit Peak.
Yeah, the only thing, used Profit Peak for quite a while. It does worry me a little bit that they're more short-term focused, and okay, they figured out jacking your price up to $100 from $50 is going to increase your profit in the short term. What are the effects so long term over a period of months? Does it negatively affect your velocity at such a rate that all of a sudden you're losing a lot of organic sales in the long term? So that's the only thing that makes me a little bit nervous about any of those tools that basically take control of your pricing. But like you, using it, normally it does in the short term ink out a lot more incremental profit.
Yep. Okay. The next one on here is Forecastly. It's FORECAST.ly, not .com, but .ly. And Forecastly helps people with reordering, keeping in some accounting stuff. I think, I'm not even sure about, I don't want to, for some reason, I think that Jungle Scout bought them or merged with them.
They did.
Okay, so I was right about it. I thought I saw that recently. And Jungle Scout has their own tool that is called Fetcher, I believe, that does the same thing. It did not end up on this list. I don't know why, but it's great software. So between those two, they help with Amazon accounting and reordering. There's another one called Restock Pro. Again, that one for some reason didn't end up on our list here, but Restock Pro helps with some of this as well. It's a software that's one that we did use in the past until we upgraded to some more enterprise level software. But those are ones you could definitely check out that help with the accounting aspect and or making sure that you keep your inventory up to date.
And maybe just quickly kind of summarizing, how do you do your reordering process? Are you doing it through spreadsheets, or are you actually using software.
We are
now honest here, Mike.
Oh, I don't know that I've never not been honest.
Nobody likes to admit that they're still doing all their forecasting with a pen and paper and a spreadsheet.
It is a spreadsheet. We use a spreadsheet. The reality is that we use Skubana. It's supposed to handle this. It doesn't. It's frustrating. There's what ends up happening is the forecasting gets very complicated, and I can understand why software has trouble with this, because you end up with inventory in Amazon, in a 3PL, maybe in your own warehouse. And like the way that Skubana wants to do it is to have you issue POs based on like an individual warehouse, but we need to have insight into our complete supply chain to, get the right ordering. So Jacqueline, our COO, has done an amazing job of this. She put together this ridiculous Excel sheet with like pivot tables, and it like has a bunch of formulas and like turns red, green, and blue, and like has like all of our sales. She like inputs every month, and it spots trends and a whole bunch of other stuff that we're getting way better at. And then we end up placing our purchase orders through that, and we actually issue the purchase order through Skubana, so that when the inventory comes in, it keeps all of our inventory in line. But the forecasting and the actual ordering, based on our complicated mess of a business, we've had to revert back to an Excel spreadsheet. So it's kind of funny how we've come full circle, Dave. We started with a spreadsheet. I was doing it in a Google Doc. And then I was like, I need some software to help me with this. I got Restock Pro. It worked amazing. But then our business got more complicated. We added a 3PL. We added our own warehouse. We, have multiple brands, all these different things. So then we had to switch to back to a hard spreadsheet.
Yeah. I mean, it's the same thing for us too. And 10 years of doing e-commerce, same thing. Started with a spreadsheet, then tried to use our order management software, Linworks, to do it. And then you realize, crap, there's a lot of variables that are so company dependent that no software suite can really account for that. At some point, you need to be designing some type of company specific algorithm, whether it's a spreadsheet or some actual code that you're doing. Because just trying to have a one size fits all approach with these software tools, it seems really hard to get right. So yeah, just like you, we're spreadsheets.
Okay, so we move on to the last category here, and I apologize everybody for this episode being a little bit longer than normal, but this is obviously a big topic to digest. And again, you can go to ecomcrew.com/tools if you want to just go over to the blog post and reference any of the stuff that we're talking about here. That's ecomcrew.com/tools. So last category, marketing and optimization. The first one on the list here is one that we've talked about a lot already, and also a ton on different episodes of the podcast, which is Selix. I like this tool because it integrates a bunch of things, keyword ranking, automatic PPC bidding. It'll bid automatic or manual exact phrase or broad campaigns. It does review management. It shows you profitability of listings. This is something that I literally log into every single day, probably too many times a day. I'm pretty OCD and ADD about looking at data and things of this nature, but it gives me a pretty good insight into our Amazon business, at least. And it also has an app on the phone, which I, again, log into too many times a day, looking at our sales per item on a daily basis. So it's, it has its shortcomings. Like, it's definitely not the perfect all-encompassing software by any stretch of the imagination, but it is something that we've become pretty comfortable with using and use it on a daily basis.
Yeah, and the great thing about Selix is that they keep things almost, I don't know if basic is the right word, but it's very readable. You can log into your dashboard. It's clear immediately what's going on. It's like Google Analytics. You immediately know what's going on. You don't have to have a PhD to figure it out. And that's the nice thing about Selix. If for nothing else, just for a dashboard to see an overview of your sales, how it's doing per each product is doing, an overview of your advertising. So I think that's kind of the nicest thing about Selix, is that they apply the KISS rule and do it perfectly, keeping it simple. Yeah,
and I love how it helps with visuals as well. Like, all the stuff you talked about, but like it'll create. Let's just say you want to go into your sales volume for a particular SKU. It plots it out on a graph like day by day, so you can have like that visual aha moment of like, oh, my sales are going up, or my sales are going down, or my sales are steady, whatever it might be. That's the whole like picture's worth 1,000 words thing, rather than looking at it in a spreadsheet.
Yeah, totally agree.
Okay, the next one on the list here is called River Cleaner, and that's rivercleaner.com. This is one I had not even heard of until reading this article today. So I'm curious, Dave, have you heard much about these guys?
No, I haven't. I think they're kind of new on the block, and it's basically a tool for, I guess, optimizing your listing, so helping you find profitable long tail keywords and that type of thing. I haven't actually checked them out individual. I think it's probably a good time to kind of give a shout out to Volumetrics and our buddy Tran, who developed Volumetrics, and there's a couple other keyword tools like this out there that can get pretty much real-time keyword data from Amazon, and really you can pinpoint the most trafficked keywords on Amazon and get like real stats for it. So Volumetrics, another great tool to kind of accompany River Cleaner, and it's free as well, opposed to River Cleaner, which I think looks to be around $25 to $100 a month.
Yep. So again, rivercleaner.com if you want to check them out. It's always a good time to check this stuff out if you're at the point where you're like ready to get one of these pieces of software. That's usually when I evaluate all the ones out there, and then if there's every time I need to switch, I go back and reevaluate all of them again. So this might be one to add to your list to look at.
Well, the good thing is too, it's the end of the year, so any software purchases you make now, you get to write off for your taxes.
Yes, if you prepay for the year, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. The next one on the list is one that I do intend to check out here in 2019. It's done by my buddy Bernie, who is also part of Online Merchants Guild. If you are looking to help us with the sales tax fight and other things to help out online sellers, go over to onlinemerchantsguild.org to sign up for that and help us with that fight. But Bernie is another 8-figure Amazon seller that has been doing this for long enough that he was started before a lot of these tools existed. So he started making them on his own and then realized that he had something he could sell. Pretty much the same story that Skivana has with Chad when he was doing the vacuum stuff, and a lot of the tools didn't exist yet. So a lot of things come out of that mold, and that's certainly efficient era. They do, it's a lot of the same things we've talked about. They have alerts and they do analytics, automation, also PPC automation, email automation, data management, things of that nature. So it's efficientera.com, EFFICIENTERA.com. And again, it's done by my good buddy Bernie. So if you're in the process of looking at these things, I encourage you to check them out. I've heard a lot of really good things about them, but I'm probably a little bit biased because like Bernie's the one telling me how good his software is a lot of times. So, but I have also heard other people say it's good as well.
Yeah, well, he bought me a beer over in Hong Kong too, so
nice,
excellent software.
Perfect. So that's what a beer get you guys. All you got to do is be nice to somebody once, and you never know what can happen. All right, and the last one that is on our list is called DataHawk. This is another one that I had not heard of, but it's DataHawk.co. So this one's not a .com, .co. And our little description here is a cloud-based Amazon analytics tool that tracks keyword rankings, product metrics, and best sellers rank. It also calculates monthly sales estimates, provides keyword search volume, runs product research, and does market analysis based on keywords. So it does, a lot of these things that some of these other software packages do. So again, if you're at the moment where you're looking to get one of these types of things, that might be another one to look at.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. Well, that was a long one, Dave. I appreciate you sticking with me and getting through all this. And any last thoughts on tools?
No, I think I think Amazon is becoming just a marketplace where you need to have at least a couple tools in your tool belt, so to speak. So hopefully everyone found at least one or two tools there that they didn't know about that you can add to your business and keep pumping up your revenue and your profits.
Yep. I have one last thing to say about these, and I think you're going to probably agree. Be careful about a couple of things here. Number one, from jumping from tool to tool to tool all the time, trying to squeeze out like that last little bit out of the lemon, as you always talk about, Dave. I mean, the next tool you go to might be a little bit better, but it's probably only incrementally better. And is it worth your time constantly flipping between tools? And also, you can end up spending way too much money, like signing up for too many tools, as we were going through P&L exercise. And this is not the first time that we've been through this, but you end up with a lot of tools that you don't even log into anymore, that you're still paying for. So just be careful with that stuff. I mean, I'm not advocating not to get SaaS software, because like we have lots of these things that have made a material impact in a very positive way on our business. But then again, we end up falling in that trap sometimes of things that we log into very rarely, or we think about canceling them, but we don't because we're convinced that next month we will log into it. So just something you can probably clean up in your business and fix that leak.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. All right, everyone. Well, we appreciate you listening to this episode of the EcomCrew podcast. And until next time, happy selling, and we'll talk to you soon. And that's a wrap, folks. Thank you for listening to the 206th edition of the EcomCrew podcast. I want to thank you, as always, for supporting EcomCrew and everything we do here as we round out 2018's almost here. It's amazing. It's kind of crazy. We have a couple more episodes left this year, but next thing you know, it's going to be 2019, another whole year. We'll be doing 2019 goals and a whole bunch of other things here soon, which is pretty cool. So if you want to support the EcomCrew podcast or follow along with us more, you can go to facebook.com/EcomCrew, hit the like button, see some behind the scenes footage, some videos and things we put up there that we can't share, obviously, on the podcast or the blog. That, again, is facebook.com/EcomCrew. All right, guys, that's going to do it for today's episode. As always, the way we sign off is happy selling, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thanks for listening to the EcomCrew podcast. Follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/EcomCrew for weekly live recordings of the EcomCrew podcast every Monday. And please do us a favor and leave an honest review on iTunes. It would really help us out. Again, thanks for listening. And until next week, happy selling.